Perfect.
That's it.
All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to our second Changing Our Culture of Property Maintenance public information session. Super excited to have you all here today. With that, I am pleased to be able to introduce Councilwoman Cristina Valdivia Alcala. She's going to lead us through the presentation today.
Thank you for that, Gretchen. Thank you first and foremost for everyone that took time out of their day to be here. So before we actually get started on the presentation, a couple of things. We want your feedback and your dialogue and your ideas as we go through this presentation of how we change our culture of property maintenance, which is focusing right now in this meeting specifically with the mowing program and mowing in our neighborhoods. So before we start though with the PowerPoint, I did want to let you know the meeting is being recorded, and that is so folks that could not attend will be able to see it on the social media platforms of the City of Topeka, and also to have the staff introduce themselves that are here, that are part of this core team that is helping make this initiative successful, because it is a 5-year initiative and we're only in year 2, so we got a lot more to do. So if you all could start from here and go around back.
Yeah, absolutely. I realized I did not introduce myself when I kicked things off, so that's perfect timing. I'm Gretchen Spiker. I'm the Communications Director here at the City. Taylor?
I'm Taylor Schley, and I also work in communications for the city.
Happy Monday, everyone. Monique Glaude, Director of Community Engagement.
Good morning. Ernesto De La Rosa, DEI Officer for the city.
Liz Torn, and the City Council Assistant.
And I'm Lieutenant Jones, the Executive Officer for the Topeka Police Department and also Deputy Director of DEI.
Thanks. And who are two? Can we introduce?
Yeah, absolutely. Halen with City 4 and Ronaldo with City 4 as well.
And Rhonda Clemens with Community Engagement.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Okay, so thanks for those introductions, and y'all need to know just how really hard that staff has been working to push this initiative forward. And please feel free to jump in at any times with questions, something that doesn't make sense, because I'm sure that some of that might come out of my mouth. And then we'll just go ahead and go along. Just for real quick, the presentation overview, I'm gonna go over briefly what this initiative is. We're gonna talk about partner examples, how to volunteer, organize a volunteer group, community resources that are available, just some of why we need you, and questions, and last but not least, the giveaways of a lawnmower along with some other little goodies. Thanking you for being here and trying to draw you all in. So, this initiative overview, Changing Our Culture of Property Maintenance, in a nutshell, is 5 years. What it is meant to do, it's meant to change not only the internal culture of the city with how we relate to you on property maintenance issues, and code issues in neighborhoods, but also how our neighborhoods change their culture and their mindset of how we reach out, extend a hand, come together to help lift up our neighborhoods with beautification, with vegetation cleanup, to just all around help our neighborhoods feel better. It was this is 23, in 22, I think it was, or 21, sorry. We had a series of meetings, 7 community meetings all over the city of Topeka, talking about this initiative and asking people what their ideas were when we talk about property maintenance, when we talk about mowing, when we talk about coming in and having code cite you for this or this or this, and talking about what that reimagining would look like. Now, Councilwoman Hiller is not here today. She is actually the chair that heads public health and safety, and so we're running this initiative together. She'd probably be telling you one thing, the main thing that she got out of all of those meetings that happened across the city. The main thing that I got was this: people want to go back to a time when neighborhoods helped each other more. And I'm saying, yes, NIAs are still a strong component in that, but how that time when Karen always thinks about the 40s and 50s, that may be the age differential, but I always go back and think about the 70s, the time when you knew your next door neighbor, the time when you knew the kids down the block and their parents, and you would go out and say, y'all better behave or else I'm going to talk to your mother, okay? Or when there was be a death, in the family of a neighbor, and you would take things over automatically. When you knew someone was sick and you would go help them. When you knew that their lawnmower was broken, you and your kid or your grandkid would help them mow. And we know that we have lost that over any number of years, and we know that COVID made it worse in many, many ways because we were shut in for so long. So now that we're in this post-COVID period and we have a major initiative of this magnitude, we need everybody involved. We need you to think about your neighborhoods and what it means to help lift up your neighborhoods. And this is for across the city of Topeka, but I'm just going to be real honest. I serve District 2. It's an underserved community, it's an LMI community, and that's where this is most impactful. Not to say that the whole city can't benefit from it, but it will be most impactful for our LMI neighborhoods. So the 5-year initiative, 22 to 26, the objectives include improve property condition, reduce substandard housing, motivate property owners to care for their properties, encourage investment in vacant and deteriorated properties. Action focus 22 and 23, mowing. That is it. Just to go back on this, when you all get a chance and you're going to get paperwork and all these things that you can look at, go on to the Changing Our Culture of Property, or you can just type in Changing Our Culture on the city website. That will take you to the Changing Our Culture of Property Maintenance page. And there you will find a wealth of information that will tell you more about the initiative. We hired a consultant to come in and help us with this initiative, which is happening in phases, and you will find out more later about the initiatives that are going to deal with the substandard housing, with things like retaliatory eviction, the thing about, getting the people out of court that can't afford to be in court and start fining and having folks take responsibility that are keeping crap properties, i.e. some landlords, not all, but some. So I just talked with Gretchen just a minute ago, and the report that Karen Black did, who is our consultant, is going to be on this Changing Our Culture of Property Maintenance website here shortly. So I encourage especially you leaders in NIAs how important it is for you to look at that report so you can see how massive this initiative is across the city. Mowing is integral, but the other phases of this, I would say, are historic in their content and what we're trying to address. But these were the basic 5. So a look back from year 1 as we move into year 2. This is some PR that Karen and I did. This is also some recognition we gave to some of our partners at the city council meeting. OmniCircle, which you're going to hear more about, was the absolute lead and game changer for the first year of making this program a success with mowing. Without the drive, the passion, the commitment, the sense of volunteerism and extending oneself out, we would not be able to talk with you about how successful the first year was if it was not for Omni. And so they're going to be, Myron's going to be coming up and talking about that. And so this was our end of season event that we had at Evergy Plaza. We are going to have an end of season event, aren't we? Okay, we are going to have an end of season event at the end of the season, and we really hope more folks can attend because we want different neighborhoods to get to know each other. We want, Greater Topeka Partnership to get to know some of the neighborhoods around Topeka so there can be more dialogue. And so GTP can see the front faces, the average faces of neighbors in the different communities across Topeka. So, initiative overview continued. This year, as we continue to focus on mowing, we're aiming to expand volunteer engagement. We cannot be successful without you. So think about how you normally think about volunteering. Think about who you may know that likes to volunteer. Think about your grandchildren or your older children that may want to volunteer. Think about the neighbors in your neighborhood that may need a volunteer to help them. There is a need in our community for mowing, and volunteers can help fill that need. How can you, your group, organization, neighborhood get involved and also stay tuned? So when we talk about mowing, we are talking about very, very basic components here. How many folks do we know, since we know in a number of districts there's a lot of rental properties, right? So the tenants oftentimes are, they are supposed to mow their own properties. How many folks do we know that may not have a mower, that may not know how to work a mower, that may not know how to do the upkeep on a mower, that may not have the time to mow because they're so stretched? I'm sure in one way or another we know folks like that. How many churches do we know that have volunteer groups? How many PTO or PTA groups do we know that want to get out and volunteer? Can your business volunteer? Can you talk to your own relatives and neighbors and say, hey, let's get together for a weekend and see if we can kick out maybe 3 or 4 lawns in our neighborhood? This kind of energy is what we need you to think about, and we need to think about as we come and present to you, because that is the energy that will make this successful. So you have lawnmower, you have, mower maintenance, you have the basics of oil and gas. People may not be able to afford it, right? So people power is definitely the driving force. I thought you raised your hand. I was like, you have a question? But one thing I can tell you too is that we haven't focused on, but is so important to focus on, is every single one of you that may do your mowing already. How many already mow their own lawns? Can I get a show of hands? Okay, so there is a place where you're going to be told by our people from the city here on how to register for the program. I know it might sound silly, but I ask you to consider, what is it that helps encourage people? What is it that sets someone up as being a role model? What is it that can generate community activity? And that is when we know that there are other people out there mowing, right? So maybe you'll come to this meeting today and you'll think, I can do this maybe in July and help some folks, but for right now, I can't do anything. Well, you know what? That's okay. Because if you're still mowing your own lawn, we still want you to register. Because what we want to do is during the course of this initiative is spread the word out in community about how many people actually mow their lawns, not as a guilt-inducing mechanism, as a rah-rah, if they can do it, I can do it. So we need individuals that are mowing their lawns already to let us know. I plan this weekend to talk to my dad, who is very shy. He's 86, he's still mowing his own lawn. And I'm gonna tell him, Dad, please register. And he's gonna tell me, Chris, no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna like, Dad, please register. Please do it. Because it'll be one more person and you'll be part of a bigger chain. And because I'm his favorite daughter, he will. He will do it. But I don't think he'll get the absolute importance of it, but he just knows that it is important. So I ask you to consider that as well. So mowing your own yard, organizing neighbors, organizing grandkids, organizing church groups, any of this. because what this all is all about is helping others. Studies have shown, science has shown, the medical field has shown that this type of neighborhood involvement, it lifts people and helps people to feel better, not only about themselves, but about the community they live in. When we extend a hand, we feel better and the other person feels better. When we lift up our neighborhoods, because believe me, like I said, it's not just about mowing. We're dealing and have policies that are being written up and enforcing policies that are already in place as part of this initiative that are going to deal with the substandard housing, that are going to deal with the abandoned housing. So don't think that we're just asking you to mow and then we're going to go off on our merry way. There is some hard work that is done behind this initiative. Okay, initiative. See, I think I'm talking too much. Initiative partners, City of Topeka, the Greater Topeka Partnership. And I know a lot of times people, especially in our districts, you know, that aren't really associated with GTP, the Greater Topeka Partnership, that much, you may kind of think, what, the partnership? They don't know us, we don't know them. You know, why? But they really have taken a financial investment in this whole process. And we're meeting with them later today on how they can help us with marketing to get to some of their large corporations that have volunteer bases and see what they can do with coming into the community as well. So you can tell by what I'm talking about is there is a lot of moving parts in this, okay? And United Way of Call Valley, Topeka Volunteers, a great partner, and this is where a lot of people are going to end up signing up if they want to volunteer to help someone mow. Omni Circle Group, I cannot say enough about them, and Gil Carter Initiative, which is located in southeast Topeka. Okay, Omni Circle Group. Let me just read some real quick. I'm going to bring Myron up here from Omni Circle Group. What Myron is going to show you, in addition to what you're reading here, in 2022, 194 mows with a handful of volunteers. This is what people power looks like. This is what volunteerism looks like. This is what community building looks like. And we can all do it. We all have the capacity. Even if we're not able to get around, we can still call somebody or support somebody and say, hey, you did it. You helped mow somebody's lawn. We can do it. So I'm going to have Myron talk a little bit about how this unfolded, how it felt with volunteering, what you experienced within the community when you went in to volunteer.
Okay. I'd like to thank the City of Topeka and everybody who came out today. My name is Myron Thomas. I am the assistant to the Mowing Program and the Volunteer Program at Omni Circle Group. We're located at 1301 Topeka Boulevard. Like we said, we started the program in Central Park. We got together one time and said, well, let's get a dumpster in Central Park. We got a dumpster in Central Park. We had volunteers from Omni Circle. We went down every street, picked up trash, leaves, and everything we could. Then we turned around and we got with Habitat for Humanity. They brought their trailer by, which they had equipment on it, lawn mowers, weed eaters, blowers. Then we started cutting grass as best way we could and with the volunteers that we had. Then the city came on board. We partnered with the city, and the city said, you know what, we got a program for you. We picked up the program. We needed more volunteers to help us cut because there's 800 houses in that area. Whew. We had enough equipment that we cut, I think it was 100 one month and 100 the next month. And it got to the point where Monday afternoon, Friday afternoon, and sometimes Saturday morning we cut from the time 3 o'clock until about 6 o'clock, 6:30 before it got dark. We had fun doing it. We was making a difference in the neighborhood, and when people started saying, let's cut the grass, it was like, what do you guys need? Do you need water? Do you need our help? We did need the help because we did ask the people that we were trimming or cutting the grass for is to pick up the paper that was in the yard, pick up the sticks in the yard. That way it kept us going a little bit faster than stopping and having to pick up the sticks or the paper. We would cut over the paper, but we really didn't want to. People got engaged when they saw us cutting because now they see us coming. We got our vests on, we got our t-shirts on, we got our safety equipment on. They would come out of their houses and start cutting also. So the neighborhood was full of lawnmowers running. And it was a combined effort to the people in the neighborhood to come out and assist us and help us cutting grass. We did a lot of the easements. We had people that wanted us to cut their backyard, and we couldn't do the backyard because backyards are kind of off the limits for us because there's so much, people have a lot of stuff in the backyard. But the front yard is what we cut the most. And we did ask for, people said, well, you guys doing it, guess what? We did that for free. We didn't ask for money. We didn't ask for anything. People asked, well, can I donate? Sure. They donated to us. We put it back in the equipment because what? A lawnmower don't work unless it has gas in it. You have to have gas. We trimmed the grass. We had blowers. We blew the grass out of the street, off the sidewalks. We made it so I would want it to be in my neighborhood. I'll put it that way. Okay? We do ask for volunteers still. We're not asking you to cut a whole yard. If you can come in and bring us a bottle of water, I appreciate that. But if you can come and say, hey, I can work for an hour, that's good. Even in your neighborhood, if you can do it for an hour. We are thinking about putting a education thing together where we can show people how to operate a lawnmower. Because a lot of people don't know how to operate a lawnmower. There are safety instructions on here, which you should wear. What kind of equipment, you know, as far as your shoes, your pants, your safety goggles, and your gloves and everything else. Please pay attention to that when you're reading over that. We did have one lady, she came out, she sent us a message that she wasn't able to pay anybody to cut her grass. We went to go cut her grass. She came out with a rake and started raking with us. And it was just a sense of owning it. She owned it, and she really thanked us. But other than that, anyone else have any questions for me or would like to ask a question?
What about the trespassing law, that you can't go into someone's property without their permission?
We don't go on anyone's property unless we have a permission. We did go around and pass out pamphlets, asking people to fill it out, you know, as far as whether or not you was disadvantaged, disabled, or what have you. And then we'll go through the criteria, and then we'll make sure that we go in and cut their grass. And when we did, we put signs in the front yard to let us know that during our routine that we would go back and go and check to make sure the grass wasn't too high. But we do cut from the curve to the sidewalk, and right on the other side of that sidewalk, maybe 24 to 42 inches. But if the grass is high between the curve and the sidewalk, we're gonna cut it and pick up the paper, you know, like we could. Any other questions?
Are you open to presenting at NIAs
Yes.
about
We-
this?
We hope the NIAs would come on board with this. There's a lot. We planning on something this summer, well, this month, with Central Park area to get a dumpster. You put that dumpster in one location, and the people that are throwing couches and mattresses and excuse me, and everything else can very well pick it up and dump it here. If not, we as Omni Circle, we take the time to get a couple of trucks, a couple of trailers, throw it on the back, and take it to the dump and dump it ourselves. This is our city. There's no way I can put that. I spent 10 years in Chicago, and going down some of the streets in Chicago, I might as well went to the dump that we have down here on 75 Highway. I don't like it. I don't like seeing paper everywhere. I don't like seeing people throwing paper out their window, because this is my city. I came here in 1984, and 1984 until now, it's a big difference. And I do care about my city.
You know how, remember like in the 70s, I keep referring back to the 70s when they used to have the commercials about no littering and things of that nature. I've noticed too, Myron, that people throwing stuff out of their cars, like I never saw that when I was young, but people are throwing trash more. I think COVID may, if you notice now how many of you notice plastic bags all over everywhere, even in the trees and all of that? So I get it because it makes you feel sad and mad at the same time.
I had a boss who told me one time, he said, if you go to a building and you walk up to the building like you walk up to a restaurant, you see trash in front of the restaurant, are you gonna go in there and eat? Or you see the windows in the restaurant are all dirty and the grass is uncut, you got bushes growing everywhere, are you gonna go in there and eat? You're gonna think twice. It's the same way when I come down the street and I see a city that I'm going to and I see trash everywhere and I'm like, am I on the wrong side of the city or is this the city I want to go into? So I look at when I come from Kansas City to Topeka, there's a couple of areas that really need to be cleaned up. It's the same way on 75 Highway coming north back into town. It needs to be cleaned up. I mean, it only takes 1 or 2 people to do it. If it takes a village to do it, I think we can get it done a lot quicker.
Right, and we know that some people, because of age or disability, may not be able to, but they probably know people that do.
Oh, yes.
Younger folks, more mobile folks.
You know, we was a young group.
I know we were, right? And so I think, how can I get my daughter, my granddaughter, and my grandson, like kind of put that little bit of guilt on them so they can understand what volunteering is about. It's only for the best if we can relearn and teach our children and our grandchildren, to me, the whole volunteering aspect, because it really is what's needed in a city like ours. And we have a lot of great volunteers already, like you.
Yeah. There's a lot of organization that has volunteers in the city. Hopefully they're in partnership with us, in partnership with you guys, so we can start to clean up of the city. Even if you want to volunteer, you know, if you could just sit around and talk and walk with us while we pick up trash, I appreciate that. You know, because, yes, ma'am.
On the corner of 37th and Girard, there's a sign posted that says $500 fine for anyone caught littering. And when I addressed that issue, they told me that they don't have enough officers to patrol that area, to
I
control
kind
that.
of believe that.
People
Yeah.
coming around from the quick shop and just throwing their cups out the window. And it blows into that empty field there, and then the mower guy mows over it all and shreds it into pieces. And it's just a really trash zone, and I've been picking it up for 2 years now.
Bless your heart.
Well, thank you for that.
What street is that on?
37th and
Gerard.
Girard Street.
So it's by the quick shop then.
Yeah, well,
It used to be a quick shop. Was there a liquor store?
Yeah, around the corner from the quick
Okay.
shop. But
Yeah.
I get 30 gallons of trash every 2 weeks.
Bless your heart.
Thank you for that. How wonderful. Just think if you didn't do that, what it would look like right now.
It just looks, it's only been a week, and it looks like I never even touched it last week.
I know I was talking in the last meeting where when you would go to McDonald's, before you would exit, they would have trash cans where you can throw your trash out of your car in there. I don't see them nowhere. I don't see none of the fast foods has them nowhere. And to me, maybe they should go back to that.
We could put a basketball goal up there, because if they thought they could make the hoop, they'd put a trash can.
It's a good idea. Yes.
On your list of partners, you talked about that commercial back in the 70s. Wasn't Keep America Beautiful kind of behind that? And I know they used to do help with the city. I don't see them anymore.
Are they still?
Yeah,
Keep
so
America
from my
Beautiful?
understanding, Keep America Beautiful does an annual cleanup event. I believe it's scheduled on Earth Day this year, April 22nd. I would have to look up the time, but I do know that the group remains active with that annual cleanup trash day event. But I could definitely, they are not directly involved
in
with this initiative.
marketing
but,
part of all of that.
Yeah, certainly same mission, same purpose.
From 10 to noon,
10 to noon.
on April 22nd.
Yeah, and there is a way to sign up on their website as well if you're interested in attending that cleanup event.
Is that for the whole city?
Do you have any more questions for Myron? I know that the NIAs that I represent in District 2, I'm going to be asking the presidents of the NIAs if they will have them come in, because we really do need that encouragement. Oakland and North Topeka, the NIAs are relatively, close, but I still think we need that outside encouragement of what can be done in our neighborhoods. So be expecting a call from.
If your NIA need us to come and help you guys out, just ask us, and we'll be glad to come and assist you guys any way we can. Okay?
Thank you so much. Thanks. There's one other thing when we're talking about cleanups, and I know that there's going to be a number of cleanups going on Earth Day, which is April 22nd. For anyone that knows anyone that lives in Oakland, or if you just, no matter what part of the city you live in, we are having a cleanup on Earth Day at the levee there by Oakland Billard Park. And we're going to be cleaning up along the levee. We're going to be cleaning up in the park. We're going to have a river, a Kansas River blessing by a Native American woman and her father from Haskell University, because so much goes into our water. We're also going to have educational activities on the environment, times where families, there's going to be family picnic time, and we're going to also have some activities for children. So, we'll get something about that. You'll see something about that in the newspaper, and on media shortly. But please consider having, coming together as a family and attending. So now what we want to do is we want to go ahead and bring up community engagement, and they're going to tell you how you can be a part of this.
Again, happy Monday, everyone. Prior to me talking about how you can help, I want to introduce you another one of our partners, and we are apologetic that we failed to add them on the slide. We'll make sure to take care of that, at least for the last one. And so that is introducing you to our chair of the Citizens Advisory Council. It is Chair Shamika King Sims, and she and Props, and she'll introduce Props to you officially. We'll share with you about the importance that they feel their role is in this effort. You're most welcome.
I'll be very honest, allergies are kicking my butt, so my face is super, super red. But yes, I'm really excited to be with you guys this morning. This is PROPS. PROPS stands for People Recognizing Other People Shining, which is really long, so that's why we shortened it to PROPS. And basically, our role is to go into neighborhoods and get you guys excited, get you guys feeling like you're a part of something that's bigger than just you or just your neighborhood. This is something that is, as Councilwoman Valdivia Alcala mentioned, is something that we're trying to get all of Topeka to feel something positive about their neighborhoods. So I'm just mostly here as community engagement, just kind of on the ground, talking to people, connecting neighborhoods with one another, connecting with partners, trying to build that web that Councilwoman Valdivia Alcala was talking about. And so if there's any questions, or if you need Props to come in and just, hold up some shears or push a lawnmower as best as they can, we're happy to do that. We want to get really, really excited about what you're doing, no matter what part of the city you're in. So we just are happy to be here. And my information is probably best to go through community engagement if you would like Props to come and visit your neighborhood. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. So before I get started, I want to make sure to acknowledge some true volunteers, some true, I should say, heroes. And so that would be the beautiful Joanne Peevler. When I started with the city about 17 years ago, when you wanted to talk about a neighborhood leader who really took care of their neighborhood, spoke up, was a great advocate, helped her neighbors, that would be this lovely lady right here in the front seat. And so we're so glad to see her out today. Added on to that would also be the wonderful Peggy Lewis, who is an officer here at Central Highland Park. And again, regardless of what the need is of her neighbors, she's there. They're looking at all types of initiatives they can start. She call and will ask us a couple questions, and when we look up, they're You're always doing something wonderful, and I know there's a team that's along with that. And then also we have a wonderful hero who used to be a city employee for 20 plus years, who when I joined the city was not only a city employee, she also was a officer for her NIA, and then was told she couldn't be one because there's a conflict of interest, and so she still hung in there with her neighborhood, and now she's retired, darn her, but she's here to talk about, to be with her, to hear more about how she can help her neighborhood, and that's the beautiful Rochelle Vega Ratana. So for these three heroes, we say thank you for all that you do, and thank you what you continue. You being here today shows us your continued efforts, and so we're appreciative of that. So how can you volunteer? One thing that we need you to do, if you don't mind, we know that there are a lot of unsung heroes who are volunteering every day. Wonderful neighbors who are just helping other neighbors because that's what you're supposed to do. I can't speak to the 40s, the 50s, the 70s. I was little running around playing games. I can't speak to the 70s, but I do. I grew up as an Air Force brat, and every place my father was stationed, we usually lived in cul-de-sacs on the base, and neighbors helped neighbors. When someone was deployed, the other family members got together and they did what they needed to do, no matter what took place. So I grew up knowing that it was important for us to be our brother or sister's keeper. Unfortunately, that's not the case in 2023. You would want to hope so, but that's just not the case. And so it's going to take those special jewels and all of your jewels, because if you weren't, you wouldn't be here. It's going to take all of our efforts to be able to help that neighbor or to help the elderly person, or I call them the wiser of our generations that we have at church. There are people at church that we help to do things for. So it's not an unforeseen thing. It's just that we need to make sure to remind people that it is our responsibility to be able to help our neighbors. With that in mind, we need to be able to track this great effort. It's wonderful to have a wonderful initiative, but if we don't have any performance measures or anything to track to see what the stats are, it's almost for naught. And so that's where our wonderful partners of the Kaw Valley United Way Topeka Volunteers. It is a very simplistic volunteer management system. So we ask that if you are going to volunteer, please inform us of that information. You either can go online and to be able to do it there, or you can call me, and I think on the next slide my number's there, and if you don't want to take the time to do that, don't worry yourself. Myself and the beautiful Rhonda Clemens. Rhonda, could you wave at us, please? Rhonda or I will be more than happy to put that information in. And so it's not, don't think it as that you are tooting your horn, but we need to know of those efforts that you are actually utilizing, so we can make sure to not only give you credit for that and acknowledge you at this great end of season finale, but also to track that information. So there's some do-it-yourself things, and all of you can read, so I won't insult you and read it for you, but the Adopt a Block, we have a very simplistic form. It's a front and back. Just as some recommendations. By no means would we tell you how to go out and do your volunteer efforts, but there's some information back on the back table if you haven't grabbed it that gives you some ideas, some tools to use, some safety measures, and then some measures of how you could possibly create an Adopt a Block initiative. Door to door, knocking on the door, talking to people. Wow, what you can find out when you talk to people is absolutely amazing, right? And so also welcoming your neighbors and new neighbors when you come in. I have a wonderful story, and sorry that you don't want to hear it, but I'm going to share it with you. So I moved April the 1st of 2021, when the 2020, pardon me, when the state was shut down. I closed on the home. So I thought, oh my gracious, what am I going to do? And I had to beg people to move because they were concerned about being pulled over, because you really were only supposed to be going to places that were necessity. And so I got approval from TPD. Oh, Monique, you're fine. Maybe just hold on, have your closing documents with you in case you're pulled over. And so we moved, and we were totally exhausted. And the next morning, my daughter and I were sitting out on the front porch. I think we couldn't even move. It hurt so bad to move. And all of a sudden, I saw these two little bodies and their mother coming over, and they had a cake. And that was my neighbors. And she's much younger than I am, but they came over and introduced themselves to us. And so now every day when I come home and hit my garage, I've got to look out to my right because they're running up to my car to talk to me. That's almost unforeseen. I know of other people that hit the garage door and they go right in. They couldn't tell you anything about their neighbors. But that is a relationship that we've built. She has my extra garage door opener. She knows how to get in my house. She has my code to my alarm. But that's just a relationship that we built. Unfortunately, I have some neighbors on the same cul-de-sac that wouldn't wave at me if I paid them. But I waved back at them. A couple times they left their garage door open. I went and knocked on the door. Good evening, how are you? Just want to let you know your garage door is open. And now she waves back at me. For about a year and a half, she wouldn't even look at me. So just knowing that a smile, a wave, sometimes we don't know what our neighbors are going through, what's going on with people. So just acknowledging that if you see something that doesn't seem right, please don't put yourself in danger by any means. But sometimes people just don't know. So maybe sometimes people didn't grow up with great neighbors, such as Councilmember Valdivia Alcala or some of the rest of us. And so just asking that you keep that in mind. We know that you're wonderful neighbors because that's why you're here. So in your presentation, there's more ideas for you and more suggestions. My phone number is on the next slide, and we know that the beautiful Director Spiker will speak to that as well. If there's anything that you think you need, you give me a call. Please don't call me to cut your grass. I have terrible allergies. I will sound like Shamika and will be swollen. So I can't help you. I can come talk to you and bring you some water, but I apologize I can't help you. But again, if I don't see you before you leave, thank you very much for your efforts of being here. I know that you're really anxious about purchasing that lawnmower down there, and wanted to tell you that also. We have 3 lawnmowers. We gave one away last Thursday, today, and next week, and they were purchased. 2 of them were purchased by some wonderful donors. And so whoever receives it, a nice thank you. We'll make sure to get to that donor. They have asked to be anonymous, but we will make sure to get that thank you to them. So I know that you're anxious about the lawnmower, but don't hesitate to let me know if there's anything we can help you with. Thanks for coming again. You're most welcome.
So as Monique said, we are absolutely here to help. That's that phone number that she was talking about to reach out to community engagement. We've also talked a lot about this website, which has all of the information compiled, and soon we'll have some other items added as well. So don't want to belabor this too much, as we've covered much of this already, but that website link is going to be available for you. It's also on all of those documents that you have as well. And speaking of those documents, community resources, on that back table, when you walked in, hopefully you spent a minute or two grabbing some of those documents. Would encourage you to take some copies with you. We absolutely have extras. You can bring them back to your neighbors and community members who weren't able to attend. And those documents are also available online as well.
All right, so what can you commit to doing this year to clean up your yard and help a neighbor with theirs? This is not meant to be any type of question to put pressure on you all. This is meant to be, in my opinion, a reflective question. When I think about grassroots, and I think for the most part, I'm a grassroots type of person, I think about seeds, right? So y'all are seeds. You're all planted in your neighborhoods. And the information flow comes and goes throughout these grassroots cores of neighborhoods, right? So you are, to some extent, grassroots because your roots are in your community. You came here to learn information. If nothing else, help us spread that information. Because we know not everyone gets on social media. We know not everyone, watches the news at the exact moment when, Councilwoman Hiller and I may be on there promoting the initiative. And just try to help us get the word out in addition to anything else that you may have an idea on. We want to come back in 5 years and look back at this and be able to celebrate successes. And it's also important for you all to know that Councilwoman Hiller and I will continue to encourage your involvement, and we want you to share photos. We want you to share stories if you can on social media, or maybe even drop a line to Monique, because we want to share that out into community through social media, through being on the Red Couch, through being on KSNT. Maybe there's a possibility that a neighbor will come on an interview with us and just help us tell the media what that experience was like as we all worked together in what now remains, about 3.5 years on an initiative, almost 4 years, to lift Topeka up. Do I believe that we can do it? Absolutely. Absolutely, because I believe that the power that people have to make good change, to make affirming change, to make healing change is so much more than the other kind of people that are out there that litter and that bring a sense of hopelessness at times. Maybe one day they'll turn around and they won't litter anymore and they'll be part of a mowing group. But for now, it really is in our hands. I can stand here and talk to you until the cows come in. Everybody on the team can too. But ultimately, it's something that resides with the decision that you make to spread this message into community. So with that said, is there any questions, suggestions, comments before we get to the drawing, which I know everyone is just so ready for?
I want to thank our new city code man over in the Pinecrest area. He's doing a marvelous job.
That's wonderful.
Staying on top of everything.
That's wonderful.
He's done.
That's wonderful. And the goal is, by the time this initiative is over, I know this sounds like a lot, but you had to know how high the count was on open code cases to maybe get down to about 500 open cases a year. So we're really trying. They've hired new staff. John Chardine is in charge of code enforcement. And it's really not coming down so much with the heavy hand is what can we do to help you get this up to par? And the city manager has even allowed for a housing navigator to be hired that will help folks that don't have the financial resources to get the help that they need. And for those that don't want the help, for those that refuse, then there is going to be more of an enforcement of ordinances, because that is a big eyesore in a lot of communities. We don't want everyone to be like us, but there is a certain level of responsibility for maintaining that social contract that we have, that responsibility that comes with being a neighbor. That's not perfection. It's just not having a million things all over. You know what I mean? I'm sure any one of you can think of examples. So yes, I will make sure and pass that on. Anything else?
Will there be any discount or means for dumping the branches at McVicker, or is that the only place to get rid of branches and stuff from folks' yards?
Okay. Yes, ma'am. That's the only avenue that we have. Do you know that everyone that lives within an NIA, we have started this year a new program called Fight the Blight, and so with that, we are going to be sending out information for your neighborhood officers to be able to contact us to select a date. We, community engagement, will be paying for 4 hours of trucks to drive through your neighborhood on a particular Saturday to pick up the blight that has to be set on your curb. Do know, again, for all of the NIA officers, that you can utilize your support funds to be able to give someone a discount, or maybe to create some type of partnership with Garrick to be able to rein something. But our Fight the Blight is what we're utilizing the extra funds for, to try to help to clean up the neighborhoods as much as possible.
Do you know the estimate, just a round figure of what it is to take a
I sure
dump of
do.
branches?
It's sitting on my desk. But I tell you what I'm going to do before I leave. Rhonda, can you look that up for me, please? Before we leave, we'll see if it's noted on their website. If so, I'll share those numbers with you.
Is that an allowable cost?
Absolutely, it is.
And with those trucks coming around,
Yes, ma'am.
and it must be something new they started, that they're not doing our trash cans. You know?
Yes. So the lovely Miss Peggy, I know that you asked that question before. And unfortunately, that's a Shawnee County waste decision. That's nothing that we can only enforce it, asking our neighborhood leaders to please take adherence to it. But I would direct you to speak to the director of Public Works at Shawnee County to make your inquiry and to express your concerns.
We had
and
no
maybe
input
address
as a
it.
city at all on that.
Do you know why they changed it?
Cost.
No, ma'am. Well, sorry.
Cost.
Cost.
their cost.
There, cause they're still making the same rounds and.
That's the little we
seems like
heard,
more
yeah.
labor to pick it up off the curb versus picking up trash cans. Okay.
And I will let you know, in districts, this information is available for all district city council representatives. Basically, Karen, Councilwoman Hiller and myself are sharing or co-chairing this together, but information is being given out to, especially in, the more noted as underserved districts, this information is accessible to them, so. Is there anything else? Yes?
What about the easements of properties behind, I live up off 21st Street, right? I take care of my easement, which is like 4 feet, the other people do not. So it's up like this high. They said because it's an easement, it's not like enforceable or whatever. How did that rule get changed? Because before you were supposed to take care of 4 foot of your easement, now all of a sudden you just don't have to.
And where's John Chardin?
As far as talking to your neighbors, they're all rentals practically.
Yes.
I mean, I do go up through, but, some areas you just don't know, and I don't want to confront them to go talk to
Right.
them. I would like to see,
If you, after the meeting, if you give me your email address, I can find out about the easement, and then I can email you an answer. When it comes to neighbors, and I think this is kind of a part I may have left out, is that like in my district, District 2, there's about 40 to 45% rentals just in Oakland, right? So there has been, talk about, talking to the Landlords Association, et cetera, maybe having, if they would put $10 extra on the rent, which I personally don't think is a good idea, but this is what I've heard, an extra $10 on the rent, and the mowing would be taken care of by the landlord. Or for those that are responsible, how can they be reached out to get an accessible lawnmower? Do they have the funds to purchase one, et cetera? So there's still unknown in how all of this will unravel. I would say that any house that you do not feel certain about going to, don't do it. I mean, that's the first thing I'm going to say. There was a woman at the last meeting that said, there's these lots that are problematic, that overgrow all the time, and the owner is considered a bad actor, right? Doesn't take care of the properties. And so she said, why should I go mow that? And I was like, hey, you don't need to be mowing that. I mean, this isn't trying to force you into doing something. Let the ramifications fall upon this owner of these 3 or 4 lots, because those are going to get beefed up.
Well, I know, and that's what I don't understand is why isn't anything being enforced with the property owners of the people that are renting the property. If they would put an additional, maybe they would take care of their yards, or maybe they should take care of them themselves with that charge or whatever.
Yeah.
And the easements, I don't understand. There's a whole bunch of things that I don't understand. I've talked to your assistant about the property up from me, and I've had to have code compliance go up and board up another vacant lot. And my brother used to live in Oakland, and I went over actually just this last Saturday just to go by the neighborhood. There was no homeless camps down along the river and blah. There is so many homeless, it's unreal.
Yeah, there are.
I just don't want that to happen over here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did you say there are homeless encampments along the river? Not that they're not, because there are. And it's growing. It's growing, yeah. And so that's what District 2, well, my brother, I do not blame you.
I don't want everything to invade,
Yeah, and that's what we're dealing with. So I could stand here all day and try to tell you the complexity of what it is within a municipality. This is what I can tell you. new staff has been hired in code. They've paid them a higher wage than what they were paying before because positions like this, they need to be paid well because they are like that first, they're the first line, they're the front line. And no, they shouldn't be confronting you and pissing you off. I mean, we are trying to redo that whole thing to where we have code enforcement officers and a new code enforcement director that I feel is seriously working to change things in a proactive manner on how they deal with the public. And do we have enough code enforcement officers to deal with all of the issues that we have right now? No. I'm not going to stand here and tell you we do, because we don't. But we're working with what we have, and the city manager is very insistent that the culture change within property maintenance itself, okay? So I'm not going to try to feed you what you're not going to believe, and I don't believe in saying what I don't believe. So I can just tell you that it takes time. We have a huge amount of abandoned structures. We have a huge amount of, squatting that happens. We have fires. We have all of that. So we are in an emergent situation here. Am I trying to address it? Yes.
Well, I understand that you are, but I'm just saying, with rental properties around, you don't, you used to be able to talk to all your neighbors,
Yeah.
and get along.
Now you just,
Hey, that's where I was at, but
yeah,
it's just not.
you just don't know. You just don't know. I agree with you. Do what you can where you can. Maybe it'll be somebody outside of, your 1 block area that you can help. I don't know, but we have to start somewhere. That's all I got. I wish it was more, but that's all I got. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you straight about my yard. I can cut my grass and everything like that, but where my problem is, there's area-wise, like from that door over that wall, that's across the front yard. And from that wall to about here, that's the side yard. Now that's hedges. Now, last year, I was trimming the hedges the best I could. But on the side yard, I got about maybe over to where that window is from that wall. And then I stopped. But since then, them hedges have grown up. And from that window to this window, they done grown up so tall, they're about half as tall as a telephone pole.
Oh my
And I
God.
don't have the tools to cut it down.
So, Myron, do we have any ideas on how we could handle that? Do we have any ideas if he could put his name into the volunteer base about his specific issue with the hugely overgrown hedges, and maybe some good Samaritan will see, and she can tell you she'll give you the number to call to help you with that, and get online to where you can register saying, look, I need some help with this, and hook you up with the volunteer that has the equipment and the resources to be able to come and help you. Do you understand? That's a possibility if you want to do that.
And especially with the hedges.
That's what I'm referring to exactly, specifically, not the grass, the hedge issue that you're having.
And it's been so long since I've been able to, work and deal with it. They're getting stalky, the branches are getting stalky, and the branches range around from about big around down to about a quarter of 50.
Ooh, let's see. Yeah, that is out of control.
With the hedges along the side yard. Now, they done go on top of it. It wouldn't take, if somebody had one of them chainsaws, just go along there with that chainsaw, and that would alleviate that problem right there. It wouldn't take that out.
So let me ask you this. Would you be open to registering in the system to look for some volunteers to help you with that? Yeah. Okay. Can you help him with that?
I will do my best.
Okay. Monique's going to get you the hookup.
Monique's going to try to get you.
To try to get you the hookup. Okay. So is there any other questions? Yes, Lizone?
Comments?
Or comments?
Good man, so please I just want to show some appreciation to the city of Topeka and you, Councilwoman DiBiaco and Councilwoman Miller, and staff, because for years, conversations have gone on. And it's not just a change of the culture of property maintenance, but there's a change of the idea and mindset of our city government. And that's one of the things that after 29 years, I'm very appreciative that things are getting done in ways that have been talked about for years, but now there's a different mindset in city government. And I just wanted to express to the people here, of how long people have been talking about this and actually seeing some action, and thanking the city for actually stepping up to initiate that. I've known many, Michelle and others, before they even started working for the city of Topeka, because I worked with them all for years.
Mhm.
So, in the county and all the mayors and all the council members, and so I can see where there is actually a bright spot here, and I'm happy.
Well, thanks for that, Lazona. I think that we all know in our neighborhoods, we all know within our family systems, we all know within communities that things are changing in our world in a very rapid rate. So to hang on, we need to do more than hang on, to me. And so that means, how can we think more outside the box at the local government level, right? But how can we partner with each other to deal with the challenges of where we are right now? And I really hope that this succeeds. So, are we
Ready?
done? Okay, drawing.
So we're going to ask Director Ulrich to come first. Hannah, could you please come and choose the first ticket? Yes. She tries to be a silent part of this team, but she keeps everything together. Fantastic project management. Joyce Stuckey. Joyce?
Oh, congratulations, Miss Stuckey.
Lieutenant Munoz? Taylor, do you want to be the next person? Yeah, whichever you choose. I'll let you. Oh, you have two, sir. Linda Grew. Whatever you like. You want the council member to choose the line. Madam Sims, some gloves. Trash bags. Oh. These people are right there.
Okay, Paul,
Oh, wonderful.
there you go.
Liz? Another part of the team. Just all together. The glue keeps us together. Ken, I can't pronounce your last name. Otten. Okay, there you go, Ken. Ken, would you like some gloves or some trash bags? I'm gonna chase you.
Ooh, I'm gonna chase them too.
Those are
I
great.
like those trash bags.
Put my name in there. And Taylor?
Liz? Hi, my name's Robert. I used to talk to her.
Kenneth Quick? Okay, here goes. Oh,
Is this for the lawnmower?
Yes, you should be stressed. Robin, we mad if you don't pick their names.
Don't take it personal.
There, man.
Donald?
Donald, I'm assuming that's Donald Fortin, no last name?
Woo!
Congratulations.
You got the lawnmower. Oh, yes.
All right, wonderful.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you all for coming, and be careful in the wind. Have a good day and help spread the word.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.